What if you've spent years chasing goals that weren't actually yours? Why do we live as if time were infinite and leave our dreams for someday? Why do we only react when life shakes us with a loss, an illness, or a painful moment of clarity? And there is something even more unsettling. How many wrong decisions could you avoid if someone told you the truth in time? Stay, because these lessons can save you decades of mistakes. Welcome. This is the continuation of a series that was born from 35 years of experiences, errors, falls, and learnings that arrived, many times too late. For decades, I pursued objectives that society called success, followed paths that others applauded, and convinced myself that I was doing the right thing. But I wasn't. I learned the hard way what really matters and what is only a well-sold illusion. Some people never manage to wake up from that endless race. But you, right now, have a choice. You can continue learning through pain and lost years, or you can listen to these lessons and get ahead of the blow. They are not theories. They are truths that transform my way of living. If you ignore them, you will repeat the same mistakes. If you apply them, you will save time, energy, and suffering. We all have two lives, and the second one begins when we understand that we only have one. Most people live as if time were an unlimited resource. They postpone their dreams, tolerate jobs they detest, stay in relationships that empty them, and repeat to themselves that the right moment will eventually arrive. When I have more money, when the kids grow up, when I'm ready. But that moment almost never arrives until something occurs: an unexpected illness, the loss of someone dear, a failure that shakes everything you believed was stable, or sometimes simply a moment of silence in which you realize that the years have passed faster than you imagined. That's where your second life begins. It is the moment when you stop living to please others. You stop seeking approval. You stop acting out of inertia. You start asking yourself what you really want. You start to value your time as what it is: limited. Most need a strong blow to wake up, but it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't wait for life to snatch something from us to start living with intention. When you understand that there is no guarantee of tomorrow, every decision changes. Every day gains weight. Every opportunity matters. The second life is not a magical new beginning. It is an awakening, and the sooner it arrives, the better. Success is a lonely road. The higher you climb, the fewer people really understand your process. At first, when your dreams still seem small or harmless, many support you. But when you start to change, to grow, to demand more of yourself, something happens. Your evolution makes people uncomfortable. People are used to seeing you in a certain way. When you break that version, they feel they lose control of the narrative they had about you. Some friends will distance themselves, not necessarily because they hate you, but because you no longer fit in the same mold. Some family members will doubt your decisions, and strangers will criticize your progress without knowing your sacrifice. Not everyone will applaud your progress, because your progress reflects what they are not doing. Big dreams demand sacrifices. Long nights while others rest. Weekends working while others celebrate. Moments of discipline in which no one sees you. And that process is not always shared. Many successful people went through this stage. As they grew, they outgrew old circles, not because they believed they were superior, but because their priorities changed. And that is part of the price. If you wait for everyone's approval before beginning, you will never begin. If you need constant applause to continue, you will stop at the first silence. True success is not popularity. It is consistency with yourself. It is to keep moving forward even when the path seems empty. And if you persevere, you will discover something important. The right applause does not arrive at the beginning. It arrives when you no longer need it. Don't eat with someone who wouldn't be willing to fast with you. You must be extremely careful with the people you allow to get close to your table, your intimacy, your moments of abundance. Because not everyone who celebrates with you is willing to stay when the table is empty. It is easy to surround yourself with company when everything is going well. When there is laughter, plans, benefits, and comfort, many people appear. But the true test does not arrive in times of prosperity, but in moments of scarcity. The majority has experienced friendships that seemed solid until a real difficulty arrived: a financial problem, a personal crisis, a failure, and suddenly the phone stops ringing. The invitations disappear. Support turns to silence. The people who are worth it are not the ones who sit with you at the banquet. They are the ones who would be willing to go hungry by your side. Those who do not calculate what they get from you. Those who do not measure their loyalty based on your utility. Life has a relentless way of revealing who is who. Many times, we realize too late that we invested time, energy, and trust in the wrong people. Choose loyalty over convenience. Choose depth over popularity. Because true relationships are not built in abundance, but in adversity. When there is nothing to gain, and even so someone decides to stay, then you know that the bond is real. Learning this lesson can save you years of disappointment and silent betrayal. If someone treats you like an option, like a resource to turn to only when it suits them, it is time to stop and observe reality without excuses. There are people who only call when they need something. They only show up when their first choice fails. They only show interest when they feel lonely or bored, and too many times we accept that place. We stay waiting for them to change. We convince ourselves that with more patience, more understanding, or more sacrifice, they will finally value us. But respect is not begged for. Love is not negotiated. Priority is not pleaded for. When you allow someone to treat you like an alternative, you are sending a silent message that your time is replaceable, that your presence is secondary, that your value depends on their convenience. Too many relationships are sustained by a constant imbalance. One person invests, the other manages. One person waits, the other decides. And that pattern slowly wears down self-esteem. If someone can leave you behind with ease, you must have the strength to show that you also have options. Not from pride, but from dignity, because whoever really values you does not make you doubt your place in their life. The right person does not keep you on hold. They do not play with your emotional availability. They do not use you as a backup. Valuing yourself means being willing to leave when you are not a priority. And even though it hurts at first, that decision returns something to you that no one can give you: respect for yourself. If you want to advance quickly, use the old paths. We live in an era obsessed with shortcuts. Everyone looks for the secret method, the magic formula, the trick that guarantees immediate results without prolonged effort. But the truth is much simpler and less attractive. Real progress almost always follows old principles. Many people lose years chasing trends, viral advice, or strategies that promise quick results. Meanwhile, the foundations that have worked for generations remain intact and underestimated. Discipline, consistency, patience, deep study, and sustained work. Observe the most successful investors. They study references like Warren Buffett, analyze great athletes. They train under principles that have been demonstrating effectiveness for decades. The wisest leaders do not improvise from scratch. They learn from history, from those who already traveled the path before them. New methods can be striking, but many times they have not been tested over time. The old paths were already traveled by those who won. They are marked by corrected errors, lessons learned, and strategies that survive different eras. We complicate what is essentially simple. We want to reinvent the wheel when what we need is to master the fundamentals. Daily discipline can seem boring, constant repetition can seem unexciting, but that is where true progress is built. It is not about rejecting the new, but about understanding that what is solid usually lies in the basics. When you master the fundamental and follow proven routes, the path becomes clearer. The shortcut seduces, the foundation builds. And if you really want to move forward, stop looking for tricks and start walking where it has already been demonstrated that one reaches the goal. The devil never presents himself as the devil. Danger rarely arrives with a clear warning. It does not appear with a sign that says, "This is going to destroy you." On the contrary, it usually disguises itself as an opportunity, as excitement, as something easy, attractive, or apparently harmless. Many people have fallen into this trap. A relationship that at first seemed intense and exciting, but over time became toxic and draining. A promise of quick money that ended up emptying bank accounts and trust. A habit that seemed small and controllable until it began to dominate an entire life. Real destruction does not announce its arrival. It infiltrates slowly. It disguises itself as flattery, as comfort, as small decisions that seem to have no consequences. It presents itself as the shortest path, the easiest option, the immediate reward. The problem is that what feels good now is not always good in the long term. Many times what weakens us does so gradually. A small commitment of our values, a small lie, a small concession, and when we want to react, we have already yielded too much. That's why this lesson is so important. Learn to look beyond the surface. Not everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that results easy is correct. Not everything that flatters you truly appreciates you. The worst decisions of our lives almost never seem bad at first. They seem convenient. If you develop the capacity to question what seduces you too quickly, you will avoid mistakes that others take years to repair. True danger does not arrive with horns. It arrives with a smile. There is nothing in this world that can hurt you and heal you as much as your own thoughts. Your mind is the most powerful force you have. It can become your worst enemy or your greatest ally. It can drag you toward doubt, fear, and constant comparison, or it can propel you toward confidence, learning, and resilience. Most people know what it is like to be trapped in their own heads, repeating past mistakes over and over, imagining catastrophic scenarios that never occur, comparing oneself with others until feeling insufficient. That internal voice can be implacable. It can turn a small failure into a permanent sentence. It can transform external criticism into an internal identity. But the same mind that hurts you can also rebuild you. When you decide to change the internal dialogue, everything changes. Saying, "I can learn from this," turns a failure into growth. Saying, "I will try again," transforms defeat into strength. Choosing to interpret an obstacle as a lesson completely alters the emotional outcome. The battle most important is not against the external world. It is against the narrative that you build inside yourself. Because even though the environment influences, the final interpretation always occurs in your mind. If you allow your thoughts to dominate you, any difficulty will seem insurmountable. But if you train your mind to respond with perspective, discipline, and self-awareness, no circumstance will have the power to destroy you completely. Your mind is both the wound and the medicine. The difference is in how you decide to use it. And learning to direct your thoughts is one of the most valuable skills you can develop in life. It took me 35 years to understand these 7 lessons. You have heard them in barely a few minutes. The difference is not in the information, but in what you decide to do with it from now on. You can continue living as if time were infinite, or you can start your second life today. You can wait for the approval of everyone, or accept that growth is sometimes traveled in solitude. You can surround yourself with convenience, or choose loyalty. You can accept being an option or demand of yourself to be a priority. You can pursue shortcuts or master fundamentals. You can let yourself be seduced by the easy or learn to look beyond the smile. And above all, you can allow your mind to destroy you or train it so that it builds you. You don't need to change everything today. Choose just one lesson, the one that most uncomfortable you, the one that most resonated with you, and act. Real change doesn't start with big speeches. It starts with a silent decision. Your future is not waiting for luck. It is waiting for action.